Esteemed generals, we gather today to delve into the crucible of conflict that was the Battle of Gettysburg. This engagement's implications reverberate through the annals of our nation's history, shaping the very course of the Civil War.
I, General Meade. Whilst our forces clashed mightily in yon Pennsylvania fields, the consequence of our contest bore weight upon the shoulders of the Confederacy and Union alike. 'Twas a momentous occasion that tested the mettle of our men and our leadership.
Indeed, General Lee, the Union's resolve was sternly tested against Lee's incursion. Our necessity to defend was paramount, and the outcome at Gettysburg solidified that determination. 'Twas a pivot upon which the war's very fate did turn.
Let us not embroider the past with unwarranted glory. Our decisions, for good or ill, mapped the course of those 3 days. The strategies employed spoke to our aspirations and, in hindsight, our follies.
True, General Longstreet, the hand of Providence was upon us, yet our plans and tactics under the scrutiny of history reveal much about our character and our cause. Each clash of arms, each maneuver, spoke of larger truths.
And let us not neglect the impact of absence and presence. How Stuart's cavalry's wandering did blind the Confederate eye, and how Buford stood firm until reinforcements did arrive. 'Tis a testament to how fortune in war can hinge on timely knowledge and the swift execution thereof.
General Sherman speaks aright. The fog of war clouded much, yet the valor displayed by all who fought cannot be overstayed. This council, though convened in retrospection, serves as a medium to better understand the confluence of such myriad factors.
As we dissect these events, let us bear forth our discourse with the candor and vigor befitting officers of our rank. The perspectives each brings to this table enrich our collective understanding of the Battle of Gettysburg, allowing us to appreciate its complexities anew. Let us then proceed to unravel the strategic objectives that led us to that hallowed ground. Gentlemen, we gather to dissect the strategic objectives leading up to the Battle of Gettysburg. General Grant, your perspective on the Union's objectives.
Our aim was clear: to repel Lee's invasion. The very soul of the Union hung in balance. Our forces had to defend northern soil and maintain public morale. It was not merely a battle, but a statement that the Union shall stand unbroken.
Yet, from our stance, the invasion was a necessity. The Confederacy sought to alleviate the pressure on Virginia and possibly tip the scales in our favor internationally. By bringing the war to the North, we hoped to force a negotiation for peace.
Indeed, General Lee speaks true. But let's not forget, it was also about procuring supplies. Our lads were in dire straits, needing sustenance. A significant victory on their turf would have put immense pressure on Lincoln and his government.
Victory? Your incursion brought devastation upon both sides. The very act was one of desperation.
Desperation, General Grant, or strategy? The war had to be taken out of Virginia to show the Union we could strike at their heart.
The strategy had its merits. Shifting focus and resources could have brought the Union to its knees, forced to acknowledge our independence.
Let us not delve into what could have been. This discussion aims to lay bare the intentions and stakes at that critical juncture.
Yet, for all your Southern gallantry and strategy, the Union's resolve was only fortified. Every attempt to invade the North was met with staunch resistance. Gettysburg was no different.
Aye, Sherman, but remember, war's a gamble. Lee sought to change the game with a bold move.
Bold, yes, but necessary. History will debate our choices, yet our aim was to secure a future for the Confederacy, no matter the cost.
And at what cost, Lee? Gettysburg demonstrated the folly of underestimating the Union's determination. Our strategic objectives, though fraught with peril, were met with courage and sacrifice.
Courage and sacrifice indeed, on both sides. This battle, pivotal as it was, showcased the depth of conviction held by both the Union and the Confederacy. Let us proceed, mindful of the weight of our decisions and their impact on history. Gentlemen, let us dissect the initial engagement at Gettysburg, July 1st, 1863. The day's actions set the stage for what became a pivotal confrontation. Stonewall, your thoughts on how this unfolded?
Our movement towards Gettysburg was not a preconceived plan. The lack of intelligence, largely due to Stuart's cavalier gallivanting, had us blind. We stumbled upon Reynolds' corps by happenstance, an accident that sparked the inferno.
An accident it may have been, but warfare demands quick adaptation. Buford's cavalry, they did just that. By seizing the high ground, they stalled your advance, Stonewall, a critical delay that ultimately anchored Union positions.
Such emphasis on happenstance and quick decisions neglects the root cause. We sought engagement to draw your forces into conflict on ground of our choosing. The absence of Stuart, indeed, clouded our vision, yet our initial successes on the field speak to Confederate resolve and valor.
Resolve and valor notwithstanding, General Lee, might I remind this assembly that preference for aggressive engagements without solid intelligence is folly. The ground at Gettysburg was not of our choosing. It was thrust upon us, and not to our advantage.
An intriguing point, Longstreet. The Union's defensive positioning on that day, taking advantage of the terrain, contrasts sharply with the Confederate approach. Your push forward, absent a clear understanding of Union dispositions, set the stage for the conflict's escalation.
Pray, do not misconstrue. Every commander on this field sought victory for their cause. Our strategies, though different in execution, were driven by a like desire to end this conflict in our favor.
Indeed, Lee. The first day at Gettysburg serves as a testament to the fog of war and its inherent unpredictability. Each move and countermove, whether by design or accident, wove the tapestry of the ensuing battle. Let us not forget, while we debate tactics and decisions, the valor and sacrifice of those who fought and fell. Their legacy is the true hallmark of those days. Gentlemen, our discussion turns to the leadership styles and tactics during the Battle of Gettysburg. General Lee, would you share your stance on the Confederate approach?
Certainly, General Meade. Our strategy, rooted in audacity and the offensive, sought to exploit the enemy's vulnerabilities. A direct engagement was preferred, a tactic I believe harnesses the courage and spirit of our men. It's about striking with precision and force, a principle I've adhered to throughout this conflict.
With all due respect, General Lee, the Union's strength lay in our defensive tactics and the strategic holding of positions. It's not merely about spirit, it's about the prudent use of resources and manpower. Holding ground, as we did at Gettysburg, forced the Confederacy into unfavorable assaults.
If I may interject, Lee's penchant for the offensive often disregarded the cost in men and resources. My counsel was for a strategic defensive, to maneuver and force the Union to assault our positions. At Gettysburg, such an approach could have spared us grievous losses.
General Longstreet, your hesitance has been noted, but decisive action was needed. Our aim was not merely to win battles, but to compel the Union towards peace. A passive stance would hardly achieve such an end.
Decisive action? General Lee, your decisive actions led to unnecessary carnage. In warfare, adaptation and strategic resilience are paramount. The Union's use of defensive tactics, coupled with offensive operations like mine in Georgia, showcase the versatility necessary for victory.
Indeed, there is merit in both offensive and defensive strategies, yet it is the divine hand that ultimately guides our fortunes. On the battlefield, courage and resolve are our greatest tactics, irrespective of one's plan.
Courage and divine favor. Battles are won by strategy, logistics, and the effective use of intelligence. Relying solely on courage is as foolhardy as ignoring the value of entrenched positions.
Yet, without courage, all the strategy and logistics in the world amount to naught. It is the soldier's heart, the drive to face insurmountable odds, that turns the tide. We fought not just for ground, but for a way of life.
A way of life founded on an untenable institution, General Lee. The Union's leadership understood the broader strategic objectives beyond the battlefield. Our tactics, our perseverance, were dedicated to preserving a nation whole and free for all.
And yet we question, were the losses on both sides worth the cost? Could more flexible, adaptive strategies have shortened the conflict, sparing countless lives?
An engaging debate, gentlemen. It's clear the wide array of tactics and leadership styles in this war reflect the complex nature of conflict itself. Each of you, in your way, has shaped the course of this war through your decisions and leadership. Let us continue our discussion, mindful of the sacrifices made by those we commanded. Let us now deliberate on the matter of General J.E.B. Stuart's absence and its concomitant effect on our intelligence capabilities. General Lee, the floor is yours to commence this discourse.
Surely, the absence of Stuart and his cavalry grievously impaired our capacity to gather vital intelligence. Without his scouts, we were akin to a blind man groping in the dark, unable to ascertain the enemy's position or intentions in a timely manner.
I must interject, gentlemen. Intelligence, or the lack thereof, shapes the battlefield far more than mere numbers. Stuart's absence crippled the Confederate command structure at a critical juncture. A blunder of that magnitude could tilt the scales irrevocably.
Whilst I concur that Stuart's absence put us at a disadvantage, one must ponder whether our reliance on cavalry for reconnaissance was altogether wise. In the age of telegraph and rail, should we not have sought other means to discern the enemy's movements?
General Longstreet, your hindsight does us little good now. Our methods were the product of our times, and Stuart's cavalry had served us well in the past. But yes, his mission, which led to his absence, was a miscalculation on my part.
General Lee, might I suggest that while Stuart's absence was a hindrance, it does not absolve other failures in command from responsibility. Intelligence is but one facet of war. Decisive action can often mitigate the fog of war.
A pertinent observation, General Jackson. Now, General Sherman, could you elucidate on how the Union capitalized on this intelligence void?
With pleasure. Stuart's absence was a godsend. It allowed our forces to maneuver with greater liberty and assertiveness, knowing well that the eyes of the Confederate Army were clouded. We pressed this advantage at every turn, making it costly for them to operate in ignorance.
General Sherman exaggerates the advantage. Our failures were not solely the product of absent cavalry, but also of underestimation and misjudgment on my part. The Union's use of superior positioning and fortification indeed compounded our difficulties.
And yet, had Stuart been present to provide the intelligence we sorely needed, we might have engaged the enemy on more favorable terms. It's a bitter pill to swallow, acknowledging that a single element could have swayed the course of events so drastically.
Indeed, the absence of General Stuart underscores a crucial lesson in warfare: the indispensable value of timely and accurate intelligence. Let us not forget that in the fog of war, knowledge is power. Gentlemen, I thank you for your candid insights on this matter. Gentlemen, let's discuss the role of Little Round Top in our great contest. The defense there was nothing short of providential, securing our left flank, and perhaps the whole battle.
It's no secret that the ground there was devilishly hard to take. My men fought bravely, but the terrain was decidedly in your favor. Had I commanded the day, a more circumspect approach would have been my choice, avoiding such costly assaults.
The bravery of your men, General Longstreet, cannot be denied. Yet, it underscores the importance of terrain in battle.
Terrain, gentlemen, is like the silent cannon. At Gettysburg, particularly at Little Round Top, it spoke loudly. A masterful use of the land can win battles, sometimes before they truly begin.
While I respect the valor shown by the Union forces in holding that ground, I maintain that victory was within our grasp. A failure to recognize the moment to strike, and where was my charge, and I rue that missed opportunity.
The Lord's will directs the outcomes of men's endeavors. Both sides fought with a fervor reflecting the righteousness of their cause. Had I been there, perhaps the scales would have been tipped by swift and decisive action. The defense of Little Round Top, whilst spirited, might have faltered before a storm swiftly born.
A poignant thought, General Jackson. Yet we must not deal in what-ifs, but learn from what was. The terrain, the resolve of the Union soldiers, the oversight and reconnaissance, it all culminated in a Confederate repulse we could ill afford.
Indeed, every patch of ground held by the Union was a sting to the Confederacy. Little Round Top was but one, yet its effect echoed loudly, a testament to strategic positioning and tenacity.
We acknowledge the Union's fortitude and use of the terrain at Little Round Top validated their resolve. Still, it presents a lesson in the art of war, the value of intelligence, the importance of ground, and the indomitable spirit of the soldier. It was, in every respect, a critical chapter in our struggle.
As much as Little Round Top served to fortify the Union's position, it equally served to reveal the character and mettle of those who contested it. Both sides displayed a profound dedication to their cause, a testament to the gravity of our contest.
Well, the holding of Little Round Top did much to unravel the hopes of the Confederacy at Gettysburg, a harsh lesson in the brute dialogue between geography and ambition.
True enough, General Sherman. The outcome at Little Round Top, while a thorn in our side, did illuminate the caliber of men under our respective commands. Valor was in no short supply among both the blue and the gray.
Gentlemen, let us now reflect upon the Union's strategy, particularly the leadership that shaped our defenses at Gettysburg. My decisions were born of necessity, holding the high ground and fortifying our positions to withstand the Confederate assaults.
General Meade, your swift action to consolidate our forces and establish a fortified line was decisive indeed. It's the rapid organization under fire that often dictates the outcome of a battle. Your ability to do so under such pressure was commendable.
Whilst I must acknowledge your acumen in defensive strategy, General Meade, I dare say the underestimation of your decisiveness played to our disadvantage. Yet, had the Army of Northern Virginia been at full strength and not marred by absences, the outcome might have been far different.
General Lee, with all due respect, the insistence on offensive tactics in the face of such well-prepared defenses was folly. Our discussions prior to Pickett's charge come to mind. A more cautious approach, acknowledging the strength of the Union positions, could have spared much bloodshed.
Yet, one cannot dismiss the valiant efforts of our men, nor the resolute decision-making required in the heat of battle. Every maneuver, every cannonade against the Union fortifications spoke of our dedication to the cause, misguided though some decisions may have been by hindsight.
From our perspective, the defense of Gettysburg demonstrated the Union's adaptability and resilience. General Meade's leadership exemplified the very principles of warfare necessary to hold one's ground against seemingly insurmountable odds. It speaks volumes to the strength and spirit of the Army of the Potomac.
I appreciate the reflections, though it was not my hand alone that steered the course of those 3 days. The mettle and bravery of the men under our command, their willingness to hold the line and to sacrifice, carved the path of victory.
Admittedly, your fortifications were formidable, General Meade. The relentless artillery, the steadfast resolve of your infantry, these factors weighed heavily upon our troops, sapping their morale and eroding our chances for a breakthrough.
It's the terrain, the preparation, and the resolve of the men that define a battle's outcome. Gettysburg exemplified the Union's capacity to harness all three, underpinned by General Meade's leadership. It's a testament to the importance of adaptability and decision-making in warfare.
Despite our disagreements, General Lee, it's clear the endeavor of our forces was marked by courage and conviction. However, it was the Union's day to claim. Their defensive posture at Gettysburg, effectively utilized by General Meade, made the difference.
In the annals of military tactics, the importance of choosing the battlefield, much like General Meade did at Gettysburg, cannot be overstated. A lesson hard learned through blood and iron.
Our discussion serves as a reminder of the complexities and the fickleness of war. The Union's success at Gettysburg was not predetermined, but forged through resolve, strategy, and a bit of providence. Let us remember the sacrifices made by both sides in that defining moment. General Lee, let us commence with your rationale behind what history now dubs as Pickett's charge.
The decision wasn't made lightly. We sought to break the Union's center, to turn the tide in our favor. It was conceived as a stroke of audacity, to exploit what we perceived as weakness in their line. Yet the valor of our men faced insurmountable odds.
With all due respect, General Lee, I voiced my concerns then, and history has but proven them right. The assault was folly, stretching across that vast open field under the thunder of Union artillery and rifles. It was a massacre waiting to unfold.
General Longstreet, your reservations were noted, but the situation demanded bold action. We couldn't let the Union dictate the terms continuously. It was our chance to decisively sway the conflict in our favor.
Bold action? I would call it a grievous miscalculation. Your men showed courage, none can deny. But courage was not enough to traverse that killing field. We watched, knowing the outcome before the first man fell. It was not a matter of if, but how many would fall. Indeed, courage can never be questioned, but the wisdom of such an endeavor. That's another matter. The terrain, General Lee, you disregarded its significance. Open ground, with your men advancing nearly a mile under concentrated fire. It was a blunder from the start.
And I argued for a maneuver, a swing to the left to force Meade's hand, to fight on ground of our choosing, but it was not to be. Pickett's charge was a gamble with men's lives, the cost of which was devastating to the cause.
The charge, though tragic in its outcome, was not made devoid of strategic thought. One seeks to pierce the enemy at their weakest, to deliver a blow that would demoralize and scatter them. Regrettably, the fortitude of Union forces surpassed our expectations.
General Lee, your aim to demoralize was met with an ironclad Union resolve. Gallant as your men were, the ground chosen, and the manner of engagement favored our defenses.
War is as much about knowing when to strike as it is where. Pickett's charge, with all its bravery, was a misstep in both respects.
It pains me to reflect upon that day, to think of the lives needlessly lost. It was not just the high watermark of the Confederacy, but a testament to the futility of assaulting well-entrenched positions head-on.
Let history remember the bravery, but also the misjudgment. Pickett's charge is a stark lesson in the calculus of warfare, where ambition must be tempered with the hard-ground truths of tactical reality.
The decision will weigh upon my conscience forevermore. It was my hope to secure peace through victory, yet it brought us further from it. In the crucible of war, we are often forced to make choices with the direst of consequences.
So concludes our discussion on the fateful decision of Pickett's charge. Gentlemen, your reflections reveal the complexities and burdens of command. Let us proceed, bearing in mind the sacrifices made by all. Gentlemen, let us turn our attention to the roles that terrain, weather, and logistics played in the outcome of the Battle of Gettysburg. General Sherman, could you elucidate on how the terrain favored the Union?
Indeed, the Union made astute use of the high ground, securing key points like Cemetery Hill and Little Round Top. This high ground provided a tactical advantage, allowing our forces to repel assaults with greater efficiency. In war, he who holds the high ground dictates the terms of the engagement.
While I concede the strategic advantage afforded to the Union by the terrain, I must assert that it was not merely the topography that undid our efforts, but how we engaged with it. Our assault on Cemetery Hill was not folly, but a necessity dictated by the moment. Our failure was in underestimating the tenacity of the Union defense.
If I may interject, General Lee, it was precisely our approach to the terrain that warranted criticism. An offensive maneuver in such an environment, particularly against an entrenched enemy, was ill-advised. The lay of the land demanded a defensive posture, yet we pressed on when discretion might have proved the better part of valor.
Terrain is the canvas upon which a battle is painted, but weather and divine providence write their own strokes. The sultry weather sapped the vigor of men already wearied by long marches. Yet our resolve was steadfast, a testament to the mettle of our forces despite the constraints imposed by nature.
A poetic sentiment, General Jackson. But war is not won solely on resolve. The Union's logistical superiority ensured that our men were better supplied and thus better prepared to weather the storm, both literal and metaphorical. The Confederate lines stretched thin, their supply lines overextended, and when the moment came, they could not sustain their push.
Supplies, as you so aptly note, General Sherman, were indeed critical. The absence of Stuart's cavalry compounded our woes, leaving us blind and hampered in our ability to secure additional provisions. Our logistics were strained beyond breaking, not for lack of planning, but due to unforeseen contingencies and stout Union resistance.
It's an inescapable truth that warfare is a cruel teacher. Its lessons written in the blood and sacrifice of those we command. Our failure to adequately appraise and adapt to the logistical demands of the campaign was a failing. We pressed when we should have paused, attacked when we should have defended.
The discourse serves to underscore that victory at Gettysburg was not preordained by virtue of position or numbers alone, but was secured through the interplay of logistics, terrain, and the capricious nature of the weather. Each of you has brought to light the multifaceted nature of these elements. Let us carry forward the warfare is as much a battle against the elements and circumstances as it is against an opposing force. Let us now turn our discussion to the Gettysburg Address and its unparalleled influence on the war's context. Mr. Lincoln's words have carved a deep mark. General Grant, your observations.
Lincoln's address, brief as it was, captured the essence of our struggle, a new birth of freedom. It was not merely for those present, but for the nation entire. It steeled the resolve of our men, giving a noble purpose to the immense sacrifices made.
While I respect Mr. Lincoln's oratory skills, the address painted the conflict with too broad a brush. It neglected the complexities, the differences between our peoples that led to this war. Nonetheless, the power of his words to unify and inspire your side cannot be denied.
Indeed, the address has transcended its immediate effect, embodying the war's ethos. General Sherman, your stance?
The Gettysburg Address was a cannonade of ideals, its echoes far louder and longer lasting than any artillery fired here. It galvanized the Union, reminding all why we endured such tribulations. It's a testament to fighting not just for union, but for a higher principle.
As a man of faith, I appreciate the moral fervor with which Lincoln spoke. Yet, his vision of unity seems a veiled imposition of one will over another. True unity respects the convictions of all its parts, not merely the victor's decree.
I've pondered over Lincoln's words. While eloquent, they oversimplify the conflict's roots. The address, though, masterfully rallied his people. Can't argue with the effect it had on morale, nor its enduring legacy in shaping the Union's cause.
And that very legacy, gentlemen, is why we're still discussing it today. It encapsulated hope, determination, and the immense cost of our struggle in less than 3 minutes. An achievement, no matter your allegiance.
Yet, one cannot overlook the address's role in crafting the narrative of the Union's moral superiority. It's a double-edged sword, uplifting for some while marginalizing the grievances and values of others.
Values, General Lee. We fought for the Union and against an insidious institution that tore at the very fabric of that Union. Lincoln's address reminded us of the founding principles: liberty, equality. That's the banner under which we fought.
And under which many a man met his end. It's crucial to remember that both sides believed fervently in their cause. The address did not capture the full breadth of the Southern perspective, nor could it.
Maybe so, but as military men, we understand the power of morale, of belief in the rightness of one's cause. Lincoln's words, for better or worse, fortified that belief for the Union. In the annals of history, that's no small feat.
The debate on the address's implications could continue indefinitely. Its brevity belied the depth of its impact, a rallying cry for the Union and a point of contention for the Confederacy. Yet, its significance in the war and American history remains unassailable. Let us not forget the sacrifices made by those who believed on both sides in their respective causes. Gentlemen, let's delve into how Gettysburg influenced the remainder of the Civil War. Longstreet, would you care to begin?
I've oft reflected upon it, and 'tis no stretch to say that Gettysburg marked the high water mark of the Confederacy. We, in essence, saw the waning of our offensive capabilities thereafter. The loss not only depleted our ranks, but severely dampened the spirit of our cause.
I'd contend, at the risk of sounding partisan, that Gettysburg bolstered Union morale to a significant degree. The victory provided our forces with a newfound vigor, setting the stage for subsequent successes at Vicksburg and beyond. It can't be understated how this battle swayed the war's momentum toward the Union. Indeed, Ulysses, and not to overlook the psychological implications. Gettysburg shattered the myth of Confederate invincibility. Such a blow to the Southern psyche was immeasurable, and in my estimation, expedited the war's conclusion in favor of the Union.
Whilst I am loath to interrupt, I must express my perspective. The engagement at Gettysburg, whilst a setback, should not be viewed as the sole reason for the Confederacy's decline. There were myriad factors at play, yet I cannot deny the battle's impact on our campaign's trajectory.
General Lee speaks truth. And yet, had we prevailed at Gettysburg, the morale among our troops and the support from the populace would have been rekindled. Our defeat there sank many a heart and, I dare say, made the mountain to victory insurmountable.
An interesting point, Stonewall, but let us not romanticize our prospects post-Gettysburg. The Union's industrial might and resources were, at that juncture, increasingly brought to bear. Our valiant efforts could scarcely overcome such advantages.
And let's not forget, the Union's resolve was hardened by Gettysburg. It underscored the futility of secession and rebellion, thereby justifying our cause and our sacrifices. The path to reunification, though fraught with further bloodshed, was clearer from then on.
Gentlemen, your perspectives underscore Gettysburg's complex legacy. It did indeed mark a pivotal moment in the war, affecting strategies, morale, and ultimately the conflict's outcome. Our discussion has illuminated the multifaceted impacts of this historic battle. Gentlemen, as we draw this discussion to its close, let us reflect on what the Battle of Gettysburg has taught us about warfare, leadership, and the course of our great conflict. I invite your final thoughts.
The lesson here, if there be one, is that pride and hubris can blind the finest of generals. Our venture into Pennsylvania, culminating in that ill-fated charge, speaks to the folly of underestimating one's foe and overestimating one's own strength.
Wars are not solely won on the battlefield. The morale of the people, the strategies employed far from the front lines, and the resolve of the soldiers matter just as much. Gettysburg, in its aftermath, fortified the Union's resolve, showing that our cause was just and could endure the fiercest of storms.
Whilst I maintain the righteousness of our cause, I cannot ignore the tactical errors made under my command. The courage and valor of our men were unquestionable, but courage alone is not enough to secure victory. A general must adapt, foresee, and choose battles where victory is not just possible, but probable.
Indeed, the Almighty has his purposes, and our efforts are but instruments in his grand design. We must question not just the strategy and tactics, but the moral underpinnings of our cause. In both victory and defeat, there are lessons to be divine.
War is cruelty, and none should refine it. However, let it not be said that cruelty begets only cruelty. From the ashes of conflict, a new nation was born, forged in the fires of Gettysburg and other such battles. The unity and resolve demonstrated by the Union have lessons for all time in the necessity of facing hard truths and the cost of true unity.
Your points are well taken, gentlemen. The carnage at Gettysburg, the valor displayed by both sides, and the strategic implications of those 3 days in July have indeed echoed through the annals of history. It was a convergence of leadership, both flawed and brilliant, that has much to teach us even today, about the art of war, the sacrifices it demands, and the importance of unity and belief in a cause greater than ourselves.
Yet let us not forget the toll it took on the land and its people. The scars of war run deep, and the healing slow. It is a somber reminder of the war's cost, not just in human lives, but in the spirit of the nation.
True, the war's devastation was unparalleled, but so too was the nation's will to rebuild and redefine itself. The legacy of Gettysburg is not only in the lessons of military strategy, but also in the indomitable spirit of renewal. And in that spirit of renewal lies our greatest victory and our most profound legacy. A nation, once divided, found its way back to unity and purpose. That is the true measure of our struggle and the true endowment of Gettysburg.
As we conclude, let us remember those who gave their all at Gettysburg, for they have indeed shown us that out of great strife can come even greater unity. May their sacrifice be a constant reminder of the cost of freedom and the value of perseverance. Thank you, gentlemen, for your insights and reflections.